Well, this is a video with a few strategies for how to solve combination word problems. Now, I'm using the word combination word problems. That's the word that's used in the books that we use at ESU. We could also call these multi-step word problems, and multi meaning more than one. So these are word problems that require more than one step. Up till now, most of the word problems that we've worked on through the units at ESU have been word problems that have had one step. Really, when we say one step, I think, well, I know that we're meaning down here in step 3 that there is one operation. That's what we mean by a single step problem. There is one operation. We're still going to use the 5 steps of problem solving, but there is just one operation to use. Either I use adding in the problem, or subtracting, or dividing, or multiplying, but not more than one operation. These multi-step or combination word problems are problems where there is more than one operation that's used. We're still going to use the 5 steps to work us through the word problem, but when it comes to step 3 and deciding what operation to use, there's going to be more than one operation. So these problems tend to be a little trickier. Here at the bottom of the screen, what I have is the steps for solving word problems that we've been using so far. These are the steps that were introduced right at the beginning of all of the word problem work that we do at ESU, and our hope is that as people have been working on word problems, that they have continued to keep in mind these 5 steps for solving word problems. And our hope is also that in order to keep them in mind, that you've continued to do highlighting as you work through the problems. That as you ask yourself, what is the question asking me to find, that I'll use yellow to highlight that in the problem. And that as I move on to step 2 and look for the necessary information, I'm going to use the green highlighter to highlight those pieces of information in the problem. And when I go on to step 3 to decide which operation to use, that I will use my blue highlighter to highlight any clues that point me towards the adding operation, subtracting, dividing, or multiplying operation. Step 4, though, was to work out the problem. Step 4 is where we do the calculation. Most of you will probably have been using a calculator to do your calculations. And then step 5 is where you reread the problem and make sure your answer is sensible. So those are the 5 steps that we've been using up till now. This is the set of 5 steps that has been adapted to include a strategy, one strategy for dealing with combination word problems. You'll notice that step number 1, we want to take this out of here. That step number 1 stays the same. Find the question. What does the question ask you to find? Step number 2 stays the same. Select the necessary information. I've even tried to keep the highlighting colors the same. Yellow for step 1, green for step 2, blue for step 3. Step 3 over here, when we had one step problems with one operation, step 3 was to decide which operation are we going to use. There's other videos that'll help us to do that, especially the videos about the 4 operations. Here in step 3 for the combination word problems, this strategy suggests that we start by writing a solution sentence for the problem. It says fill in only the necessary information that belongs in the solution sentence. So first step is to write a solution sentence. Second step is to write another sentence, this time finding the information that is missing in the solution sentence, and then solve that sentence, or solving that sentence gives us the missing information. So we're going to look at some examples for this, but really let's call this the 2-sentence strategy for solving multi-step, or 2-step for now, 2-step word problems. The 2-sentence strategy for solving 2-step problems. So I'll just write that up here. This is the 2-sentence strategy for 2 step problems. All right, so here we go. I've copied those steps up in the upper right hand corner there that we can use to think through the problem. So let's again follow the 5 steps of problem solving, and then we're going to use our 2-sentence strategy once we get to step 3. So step 1 says, find what the question's asking you to find. So let's first read the question. So Seng Chen has $38 in her checking account. She wrote checks for $14 and $9. How much money was left in her checking account? So as we've been suggesting all along, use your highlighters to help you to go through the 5 steps of problem solving. The highlighters really help your mind to slow down and pay extra attention to what you're reading. So what is the question asking us to find? It's asking us to find how much money was left in her checking account. They're asking us to find a money number. How much money was left in the account? All right. Step 2, select the necessary information. Well, in order to know how much money is in her account, was left in her account, we're going to need to know what was in her account at the start. That's the $38. But we also know that she made some changes to her account by writing some checks. So she wrote checks for $14 and $9. So there's our necessary information. I'm going to clean that up a bit so we can see it. There. The necessary information, $38 in her account at the beginning of the day, let's say, and then through that day she wrote 2 checks, one for $14, one for $9. And we are on to step 3 now. So step 3 says, write a solution sentence for the problem. So solution sentence. The solution, remember that the solution is just another word for answer. So we could call this the answer sentence or the solution sentence. But to help us with the solution or answer sentence, we're going to go right back to step number 1. What is the question asking me to find? It's asking me to find how much money was left in her checking account. Once I find how much money was in her checking account, that is my solution. The solution will be the money that was left in the checking account. So my solution sentence is going to show me how I'm going to find that. So I'm going to start off just by saying, well, my solution will be the money left in the checking account. That is the solution. How am I going to find that? Well, that's going to be equal to the money that was in the account at the start of the day, take away the checks that were written. I'm going to say the total checks that were written. Okay, there's my solution sentence. Now, just like before, this thing, we're giving it a name. We're calling it the solution sentence. And we have a reason for that. If we think about it, it might help us to understand why we're calling it that. We're calling it a solution sentence, the word solution, because this sentence is the sentence that describes how I'm going to get my solution. They're asking me to find how much money was left. So here's my sentence to find how much money was left. And it's a solution sentence. Notice I'm using words, not numbers. I'm using words plus some math symbols of minus, equals, these sorts of operations and math symbols in there. But it's a sentence that uses words to explain how I'm going to find my solution. Now, let's go back to these steps again. Write a solution sentence for the problem. Fill in only the necessary information that belongs in the solution sentence. So, what do I know? Let's start putting in numbers into our solution sentence. So, the money left in the checking account, I don't know. That's what I want to find. That's the solution that I'm after. But the money at the start, I do know. That's the $38 that's sitting up here. That's the money that's in the account. So, I can say that the money left in the account is going to be equal to $38 take away. Now, total checks written. I don't know the total yet. Yet becomes a really important word here. I don't know the total yet, but I can find it out because I find it by adding these two things. So I don't know the total yet, but I can find it. So this is the missing information. Now by missing, it doesn't mean I don't have it. It just means I don't have it yet. All right, so this is my missing information. So I am going to change my pen color to red now because I've got red talking about the missing information sentence. This is my missing information. So I'm going to make my missing information sentence, missing info sentence. And what is the missing info? It's the total checks written. Notice I've just taken what the words are here that I don't know yet, and I have put it down here, and now I'm going to explain how I'm going to find that. Well, the total checks written is going to be whatever is the value for check 1. I'm using the American spelling of check because the book does too, plus whatever was the amount for check 2. And these things I know now. That's $14 for check 1, $9 for check 2. That will give me a total of $23 for the total checks that are written. So I started with my solution sentence, and I said my solution that I'm looking for is the money left in the account. I made a sentence to say, how can I find that? And I found out that when I wrote my sentence, one of those things I knew, that was the $38. The other thing I did not know yet. So then I said, well, that's missing right now, but I can find it. So the total checks written, I made a second sentence to show how I can find that. And in the second sentence, these two things that I needed to find the missing information, both of those I had up here in the problem. So I could figure out the missing piece of information, and now I can pop that back into this equation. So I'm going to make a new slide here, and we're going to rewrite our solution sentence. So the solution sentence again was this: money left in the checking account was equal to $38 minus the total checks written. This we did not have before, now we have it. So it's $38 minus $23, and we come up with an answer of $15 left in the account. So this, what I've just done by putting in the number 23 and the number 38 and calculating, that is step number 4 that I've just completed. Fill in the missing information in the solution sentence and solve. Step 5 is always make sure that the answer is sensible. Well, if the person started with $38, spent 14, and then spent another 9, then having, let's see, what was it, $15 left in the account certainly seems reasonable. It should be less for sure, and that seemed reasonable. So there's how we can use the two-sentence strategy for solving a word problem. Start with the solution sentence, then figure out what's missing in that solution sentence, and make a second sentence to help you to find the missing thing. Some will say, and it's true, it's really working through the problem backwards. It's imagining what is the solution I'm looking for, and then saying, well, this is how I would get the solution. What's missing? So I go one step backwards to say, well, I have to do this before I can know this, before I can get the solution. All right, let's try another problem. Applying again, same thing, the two-sentence strategy for a two-step word problem. Let's follow through the steps with our highlighting again. Step 1, find what the question is asking you to find. So Lily worked as a travel agent. She arranged a trip for 56 people at a cost of $165 for airfare plus $230 for hotel per person. How much money did she collect from the group? How much money did she collect from the group? So what is the question asking me to find? Here it is here. It's asking me to find how much money did she collect from the group? So again, I'm looking for a money answer. Step 2, select the necessary information. So I can see that in order for us to know how much she was able to collect from the group, I need to know how many people are in the group. So there's 56 people in the group. And I need to know, what are the people paying for? So they're paying something for airfare, they're paying something for hotel. And at this point, I'm going to mention that when we're looking for necessary information, notice that I didn't just circle the numbers. There's way more information than just the numbers. I have to know 56, but 56 what? 56 people. $165, but for what? For airfare. $230 for hotel. And this piece of information here is also super important. Per person. Per person. $165 airfare, $230 for hotel. Per person. Per person really means for each single one. That's what per means. For each, so and this is saying $165 for airfare plus $230 for hotel for each single person. So each person is going to pay $165 for airfare, and each person is also going to pay $230 for the hotel. This step 2 that we're looking at right now is where we're finding more and more of our effort is going to really wrestling with the story. What is the story about? What are these numbers telling me? Without having a really good understanding of what the story's doing and pieces of information like this and how important that message is, we could end up with a misunderstanding that totally makes it impossible for us to solve the problem. Let's move on to step 3. This is a 2-step problem, so we know we're going to use the 2-sentence solution. We know we're going to start at the end, imagining how we would get the solution, and then working backwards to find the information to help me get the solution. So we're going to start again with the solution sentence. So the solution sentence starts with going back to step 1 and saying, so what am I supposed to find? Well, I'm supposed to find how much money did she collect. So my solution will be how much money she collected. So I'm going to write down how I'm going to find that. So I'm going to say money that Lily, that's the person's name, money that Lily collected is equal to, what's it going to be equal to? Well, every person is paying something, so the amount paid by each person, and there's 56 people. So I know from my understanding of the 4 operations, add, subtract, multiply, and divide, that when I've got putting together a whole bunch of the same thing, that multiplying will do that for me. So the amount paid by each person is going to be the same for each person, and we've got 56 people. So we're going to take the cost for each person and multiply it by the number of people. The number of people I know, that's 56. The amount paid by each person, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. This is what I'm going to call my missing information. So I'm going to switch colors over to red and make my missing info sentence. So my missing info sentence, this is the thing that I see is missing. I don't have it yet. That is the amount paid by each person. And how am I going to find that? Well, that's going to be how much airfare costs per person plus how much hotel costs per person. Those things I know. It's $165 airfare plus $230 for the hotel. That comes to a total of $395 for each person. I have just found the missing information from my solution sentence. So now my solution sentence can look like this. The money Lily collected is equal to the amount paid by each person which I now know it's $395 times 56. 395 times 56. And that will give me my answer, whatever that is. Really, we're focusing on this two-sentence strategy right now. So I'll stop there. You can take it further if you want, but we have our two sentences. We started with our solution sentence. What is the solution? How can I find it? Then we said in the solution sentence there was something I did not know yet. So I made a missing information sentence, and I had in the question all of the information I needed for the missing information sentence, so I could take that answer and put it back into the solution sentence. Then I knew everything in the solution sentence, and I could find my answer. Now, some of you might say, I could have solved that without the two-sentence solution. That's fine. If you read the problem and noticed that you're going to have to add 165 and 230 and times that by 56, go for it. The two-sentence solution is going to be useful for you for some of the harder questions that when you read them, they don't seem obvious. If it seems obvious, go ahead and solve it in the way that you see as obvious. Same with this question back here. If this two-sentence solution was not necessary for you to solve this thing, and you just saw what you needed to do, go ahead and do it. But this two-sentence strategy is going to be useful for the tougher questions. My advice is to practice this strategy with the simpler questions, because the simpler questions, it will be easier to see how the strategy might work, so that you get practice with the strategy on the easy questions, so when you get to the hard ones, you'll be ready to use that strategy because you've practiced it so much. All right, we'll stop the video there. There's some examples of the two-sentence strategy for solving combination or multi-step word problems.